Hello, and welcome back to my ongoing coverage of the OceanGate's Titan submersible tragedy. So in this video, we are going to go through the timeline set out in the US Coast Guard's final report of the 2022 OceanGate's Titan expedition to the Titanic. Much like the last video that covered the 2021 expedition, this one covers the highlights of the various missions, focusing on the problems OceanGate had and the incidents that occurred. So, without further ado, thank you very much for clicking on this video. Now, let's get started. Over the course of the winter prior to the Titanic Expedition 2022, a software engineer of the OceanGate team was promoted to Director of Engineering. The operational plan for OceanGate's Titanic Expedition 2022 was similar to the previous year. OceanGate contracted the Horizon Arctic as the support vessel for 6 missions scheduled to commence on June 14th and end on July 25th. On May 25th, the Titan and its associated equipment departed Everett, Washington by flatbed truck for the cross-country drive to St. John's, Newfoundland for the 2022 expedition. Mission 1 of the expedition began on June 16th. According to OceanGate records, there were 23 passengers who had paid to be mission specialists for the expedition or who were holdovers from the 2021 expedition. A holdover was a mission specialist who did not get the opportunity to conduct a dive during the 2021 expedition and therefore was allowed to return for a second opportunity for a Titanic wreck site dive. The first dive was Dive 72 on June 18th, which reached a maximum depth of 1,380 metres and lasted for 6.3 hours. While returning to the support ship, the Horizon Arctic, the launch and recovery system platform suffered damage and the aft fairings were torn off. On June 20th, Titan and crew conducted Dive 73, which reached a maximum depth of 3,840 metres and lasted for 27 hours. This was the longest recorded Titan dive ever conducted. A mission specialist on the dive stated to the NBI that, when we got back to the surface, after about 10 or 11 hours, they had trouble getting us into the submersible's cradle due to the larger waves than we had when we had launched. So we ended up spending an extra 15 hours in the submersible for a total of 27 hours. The co-pilot for Dive 73 stated that the weather had deteriorated and while they were attempting to land on the platform, the Titan's main batteries died, leaving them with no thrusters. The Titan was unable to thrust and lock the Titan into the large platform. OceanGate attempted to use support divers to lock the Titan in place, but deteriorating weather made the process unsafe. As a result, the mission director for Dive 73 made the choice to wait until the morning before attempting another retrieval. Although the Titan was successfully recovered the following morning on June 21st, it suffered damage from the unsuccessful attempts to dock the previous day in heavy weather conditions. Specifically, the Titan's fairings were ripped off, the mounts for its external lights and cameras were damaged, its VHF radio antenna was bent, its Nisking water sampling bottles were destroyed, and a portion of its syntactic buoyancy foam fell off. Due to the damage from Dive 73 and members contracting COVID-19, OceanGate cancelled Mission 2 of the Titanic survey expedition, and Titan did not conduct its next dive until July 1st, which was logged as a system test in the dive log. On July 3rd, Dive 75 was conducted to the depth of the Titanic. While on the dive, the Titan's port battery dropped, which caused the pilot's control program to crash. On July 15th, Titan conducted Dive 80 on the Titanic wreck site, with a pilot, a content expert, and 2 mission specialists aboard. Once the Titan arrived at the sea floor and located the Titanic wreckage, they began to move from the Titanic's bow to its midsection. As the Titan descended for a closer view of Titanic's interior, the Titan became entangled in the Titanic's stairwell. the mission specialist sitting next to the content expert, who was piloting the Titan at the time, testified to the NBI that he leaned over to say, "It seems we're stuck." The pilot quietly acknowledged the situation, replying, "Yes, we are." For a moment, the Titan remained trapped, but the content expert was subsequently able to work the controls to free the Titan from the Titanic wreckage. Once the Titan was clear, the mission specialist pushed to continue the dive toward the stern of the wreck, despite the growing concerns of the rest of the crew, who were ready to ascend. Although the team had initially been considering surfacing early, the mission specialist convinced the Titan's pilot to press on with the mission. However, just as the Titan neared the stern, the mission director overseeing Dive 80 on the support ship expressed safety concerns and ordered the Titan to surface immediately. A mission specialist stated the following to the NBI regarding the last portion of Dive 80. "When we were ascending, I don't recall the depth, but I think we were fairly close to the surface, though still underwater. There was a large bang or cracking sound. And, of course, sonic events in a submersible are alarming, so we were all concerned that maybe there was a crack in the hull." The Titan's real-time monitoring system acoustic sensors captured the bang, which was more than 25,000 millivolts in amplitude. According to a mission specialist aboard the Titan during Dive 80, OceanGate performed a post-dive external assessment of the Titan due to the loud bang. However, the Titan's insert was never removed to examine the structural integrity of the hull's interior carbon fibre layer. OceanGate subsequently concluded that the loud bang heard during the dive was caused by a shift in the Titan's position within its frame. The mission specialist stated the following to the NBI regarding his understanding of OceanGate's explanation. "It turned out, upon inspection after we got onto the ship, that the body of the fuselage of the Titan had just jumped in its carriage, so there was no damage." An OceanGate's contractor, who was assisting with Dive 80 from the Horizon Arctic, stated during NBI testimony that during the debrief for Dive 80, which was held at 9 AM the following morning after the dive, a mission specialist passed that they had heard a loud bang as loud as an explosion as the Titan was ascending fairly close to the surface. The OceanGate's contractor later confirmed with a member of the Horizon Arctic crew who was working on a small boat to help recover Titan during its ascent, that the crew of the small boat had also heard the loud bang at the surface above Titan. The OceanGate contractor provided the following NBI testimony when regarding Mr. Rush's reaction after being asked about the loud bang during that debrief. "I felt brushed aside. He said it was probably just the sled banging against the frame, and then, oh well, deep sea vehicles just make lots of noise due to pressure changes." The OceanGate contractor, not satisfied, privately raised her concerns with OceanGate's Director of Administration. The OceanGate contractor stated to the NBI that her concerns were not well received and that the Director of Administration told her that she had a bad attitude and that she did not have an explorer mindset. At the end of the conversation, the Director of Administration asked the OceanGate contractor if she wanted to be sent home. The OceanGate contractor said yes and booked her flight home the next day. The OceanGate contractor then raised her concerns regarding the loud bang with OceanGate's Director of Engineering and was reportedly told that the hull had only shifted a few microns and that the dives would continue for the 2022 Titanic expedition. On July 19th, the Titan and its crew commenced Dive 81 to a depth of 3,840 metres, the location of the Titanic wreck site. During the descent, the pilot experienced a loss of control over the Titan's manoeuvring systems. The thruster control mapping was found to be incorrect, resulting in unexpected rotational movement. As a result, the pilot was unable to operate the submersible as intended. The pilot later reported that the control program for the thrusters had been reversed, causing forward thrust to produce reverse movement and vice versa. The pilot overcame the malfunctioning thrusters by turning the controller around and operating the controls in reverse. The final dive of the 2022 Titanic expedition took place on July 23rd, with the dive location designated as PH Mystery in Titan's dive log. The dive reached a depth of 2,954 metres, and according to the dive log, there were 40 total acoustic incidents recorded per sensor. The pilot reported that this dive occurred during the return leg of the expedition and was conducted at coordinates specified by the content expert. The pilot described the site to the MBI as an old seamount resembling a volcanic structure, which was populated by various types of marine life. The team conducted an exploration of the area, documented their findings, and then ascended to the surface. The Titanic expedition concluded on July 25th, while 7 of the 13 dives reached the Titanic depth of 3,840 metres. The dive logs recorded a significant 120 acoustic incidents per sensor. Furthermore, the expedition's maintenance log documented 48 maintenance issues and 2 incidents. The incident reports were not provided to the MBI as requested.